She used to watch me when I was at Sunderland, you know. I'm a big hero to her, kind of.
She's seen your goal at Stamford.
Yeah, she's seen it, mate. She's seen it, yeah. But she said, you ask her like who your heroes growing up, and she'd say like Paul Gascoigne.
I thought you were going to say you then.
No. We're too close in age. We're too close in age.
The official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.
Charlotte O'Neill today, Managing Director of our women's team. I mean, we're talking about the key decision maker here. This is a big one.
Yeah, absolutely is. I think people like her, you don't understand how important they are until you sort of like look into it a bit more and they express themselves and talk about some of the strategy that's required to, you know, make this club what it is. Because all the stuff on the field, like, that's the final part of it. So for Charlotte, her perspective on football life and so on is going to be really interesting to hear about.
Very interesting career before football as well. Played netball to a very high level internationally.
Yes.
And also had a big influence on the Olympic, but also just a very nice person as well, which
certainly helps.
It's a quality that doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of people, but it's one that you can put towards.
I've heard great things about it. I've never had the chance to really be in a company for long periods of time. But I think the success she's had through her career, even though it comes from having that sort of edge, sort of business-wise, I think it's the little things that make a big difference. And, you know, you saying you love her company, other people do as well. I think that's very meaningful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting just to speak to Charlotte about sort of the process of getting Miedemar through the door, how those conversations she's had and everything like that. Because, I mean, I'm sure as fans, everyone was so excited to see it happen.
The club's in a place now where, realistically, if you show that the door is open for somebody to walk through, they tend to run through it. Yeah, they'll do it. So yeah, it's a great signing for City. It's a huge signing for the league. And I can't wait till next season.
I'm exactly the same. Like it for Christmas.
If you say so.
Yeah, if you say so. Right, without further ado, Charlotte O'Neill on the latest episode of the official Man City podcast. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us on the official Man City podcast. We're obviously going to get into a bit more about the women's team, your role in it and everything. But before we get into it, obviously you've got a very interesting career as well. So first off, moving from one sport to another, netball. You obviously played internationally and everything. Can you tell us about your career on the court?
Yeah, so I mean, taking it way back to, I started at under 10s. A club called Turnford, which is like one of the best junior clubs in the country, but just happened to be my local club. And I had a primary school teacher who was loved netball and coached the team and started playing at primary school. And she just was, you know, the inspiration for all of us. We had a fantastic primary school team and got us all into it, introduced us to the local club, and kind of the rest is history. But I was really, really big for my age. So I was, in year 7, I was 5'6" with size 7 feet, which was really interesting. It meant at primary school I couldn't get plimsolls, I had to wear trainers instead of plimsolls. I was really, really tall. I thought I was going to be about 7'5", and thankfully I stopped growing. But so I started out as a defender and then had to quickly move out when I stopped growing in senior school. But yeah, I was really fortunate to get scouted at 15 for the England under-17s, and went from there, and I played in the old Super Cup, which was like the first iteration of the Super League, and then it became the Super League. I played for Loughborough Lightning and finished off captaining them to a Super League final. But, you know, as was the sport then, it was it wasn't professional. So we got Loughborough to the first ever Super League Grand Final, and I wasn't actually able to play in the final because I was working, which is tough. And it sounds more extreme than it is. It wasn't like I was, you know, doing something really grim. I was working for British Swimming, working on the World Championships that are here in Manchester. We put 2 temporary pools in the AO Arena. But it was the first day of the championships, and the date of the final was never set until the no TV schedules. They set the day of the final. It was the first day of the World Championships, and I was running the competition. So unfortunately had to make that decision not to play the final, which was super tough. You know,
So I bet you were gutted.
You've played all season, you know, you're the captain, and first ever final for the franchise, and and I couldn't play in it. So it's it was really tough, and trying to do a team talk from the arena, and they lost in the final. They lost by, I think think 2 or 3. I'd like to think I was the difference,
Of
but
course, yeah.
probably not. But yeah, so it was tough. But it for me, that was then the wake up call to say, look, you can't do both. I was, working really long hours in the events industry, working on major sports events, but I was also training before work, after work, or having to travel to major events, national championships, travel back for training, go back again that night. It became too difficult, and it also became hard with your teammates because they're committing everything and you're at times having to miss training or different things because of work. So I retired when I was 25.
Right.
Which was pretty tough.
Not an easy decision, I imagine.
Not an easy decision, no. But then I did get more of a social life, so every
6 of
cloud.
one.
Yeah,
6 of
exactly.
one.
Yeah.
Is netball still a part of your life now?
I would say not so much. Like I'm a big fan. I can follow the community and have a lot of my ex-teammates or friends are leading a number of the franchises now. And one of my former teammates, Jade Clark, she was one of my former teammates at Underlining. Like she's still playing, which is just incredible, and she's like one of England's greatest ever players. So I'm very proud of her. But unfortunately, I ruptured both my Achilles tendons playing netball, so it's not really something that I'm probably fit for anymore.
Yeah. Not at the same time.
No, I didn't do them at the same time. But
That's a relief. That's a relief.
No, I think that would have been really bad. But yeah, I've done both of them, so I wouldn't recommend it.
I suppose like playing at a top level in anything, that gives you a taste for it, or does it give you a taste for it across other sports as well? Yeah,
absolutely. So I went, the time that I was playing netball, I was obviously, netball in England is huge. It's more of a kind of Southern Hemisphere Commonwealth sport, but it's it was such a big sport for us growing up, and to be able to aspire to, be the person or be on the stage of the people that you idolised was amazing. Whether that's even in the school team and seeing the older girls going off to national championships was brilliant for me. But yeah, definitely gives you a taste for it. High performance sport. And I think for me, crystallised that I loved sport, but I wanted to be working at the top level, at the elite level, and participation. Although I really care about it, it probably wasn't the bit that I really was passionate about. So as I went off on my career path, I think I knew I wanted to be at the top end. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can sort of make those decisions rather than sort of be influenced by them as
a
player.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you think that going back, I keep going up, it's obviously a really difficult moment having to decide to retire and so on, but do you think that moment where you had to be working rather than playing that final had an influence on that as well within you?
Yeah, and I think no one pressured me. My employers weren't saying you can't go to the final, but the reality was, netball wasn't going to pay the bills for me, and I really care about what I do, and I cared about all the other athletes. It's a World Championships with 1,000 athletes who are trying to qualify for their Olympic teams that year, because it was 2008, it was leading up to Beijing. Rebecca Adlington broke through at that championships. She won gold, I think, in the 800. It's a home championships. You've worked for years on this, you've put hours and hours into it, and I kind of came to the realisation that netball was more of a hobby. And although I would have loved to have been able to, fulfil my professional dreams playing netball, it wasn't the reality at the time. Mm-hmm. So, and all my teammates supported that as well.
And how about today then? So if, say, that decision you made in 2008, whenever it was, that the sort of netball landscape is different now.
Yeah.
There are more professional leagues, teams, players, and so on now. I think there's been a change in this last year as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you think for who you are, you'd still would have aspired to do something else beyond playing professional netball?
Yeah.
So you'd still think you'd stop just as early?
I think so. Yeah, I do, because I think, as you go through life, you realise the things that you're good at, and I think I was good at playing netball, but I also was I am really competitive, and I really want to push myself and challenge myself. And I think if I'd have only played netball, I probably would have felt I could have done something else, could have done more. So I think it probably helped. I always dreamed of playing for England, and I did that. And I think beyond that, I kind of hadn't really thought much further. But like I said, it's very difficult. It's that if you can see it, you can be it. And I couldn't see it. Everyone that I saw that was older than me, who, from a netball point of view, then went on to do careers that I didn't really aspire to, or that they were very much compromised because they'd done netball and then they had to then find something else, and netball hadn't paid the bills and hadn't given them choices. So, but not doing netball down, it's obviously in a really different place.
Yeah. There's a really interesting phrase used, that if you can see it, you can be it, because obviously one of the big things you then went on to do was help organise and work on the Olympics. And as a young kid, I mean, I'm not exactly sporting talent or anything, but I remember as a young kid, the event I most looked forward to and was most inspired by was the Olympics, whether it was Sydney, Athens, Beijing, whatever it was. But you obviously had a massive influence on not just any Olympics, but London 2012 as well. I mean, how was that experience?
Yeah, that was like, you know, life-changing. I'd say the closest thing to like a religious experience you can have if you're not super religious, because it was, you know, especially because I grew up, like I was born in North London. My mum and dad, my dad's Irish, but he came over, he lived in Tottenham. My mum grew up in Enfield. So, you know, to be at home games in your hometown, like your hometown pretty much, working on it, and you've got all those athletes who have spent their lives working on something, building towards it, and you're like there to give them the platform to perform to their best and break world records and do things that no human's ever done before, and it's in your hometown. You know, I worked 4 years on London, and I'd been out to Beijing. I worked on Beijing as well, and I'd seen how amazing it was. So I'd like say, you know, we used to have this phrase like, do the best work of your life, and the Olympics, the magic of it makes you do the best work of your life. Like, you live it. I've never worked so much. I've never worked longer hours. But you know, you do it because at the end you've got this immovable deadline of like thousands of people coming to your hometown to like I said, do extraordinary things. So it was, you know, the biggest challenge of my career in terms of like pressure, demands, challenges. Like I said, the deadline doesn't move, so you can't
push it back, can you?
Yeah, we'll resolve that later. And I remember like leading up to the games, we had Michael Johnson, who was one of my heroes from like watching him at Atlanta in particular. He came and spoke to us, to our staff, and he said something like, he was talking about how he had prepared for the Olympics and how he knew he was going to win, like, because he'd prepared so well that all he had to do was execute, and if he knew that if he executed, then he would win. And there's not many athletes that tell you that. They'd say, oh, you know, I've tried my best and I've prepared and we'll see what happens. But he was like, I knew I was going to win, all I had to do was deliver. And that was a great message for us, because we knew that we'd worked so hard. All we had to do was deliver, which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
that's definitely American messaging as well, by the way. Sounds American start to finish.
Yeah.
One of the big things I remember from London 2012 was Team GB in the women's football. And especially Steph playing, I think she was playing left back, wasn't she? But she was top scorer for GB as well. Did you have any sort of dealings with her at the time or anything along those lines? No dealings,
because like when you're on your sport, you just are like focused on that. So like I missed Super Saturday, I missed everything because I was obviously delivering my sports in my venues. So I had swimming, diving, synchronised swimming, water polo and open water. So I remember, like, for me, when I think of Steph, I think of her in the Team GB kit, and I said that to her when she retired. Like, Team GB kit, another one of her magnificent hairstyles. And, and
I wasn't going to say anything.
But for me, she's iconic, because the women's football team, the Team GB team in London 2012, for me was when like women's football really became something that I was really aware of. Yeah. So like special times. Yeah,
completely agree. And then, I mean, we'll obviously go a bit more chronologically moving on, but fast forward to present day, we're looking at moving to a pre-season tour in Australia for the first time in a few weeks, month or so. That just kind of puts into context, doesn't it, the growth that we've seen over the last decade or so.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, going from, you know, not having professional players to having professionals that are on really good contracts, and then having, you know, tour promoters who are, you know, willing to, you know, wanting to attract, you know, some of Europe's best teams to go and play in a tournament, I think shows you how far we've come. Yeah. And we're really excited. I think we've been on tour for about 6 years. So, you know, it's something that we should be doing every year. We're looking at warm weather as well in January, because the season provides a break for it. So we want to get our brand, our style of play, our women's, you know, our superstars, we want to take them around the world.
Absolutely. And I mean, probably the two biggest superstars you could have going over to Australia, Mary Fowler and and Alana Kennedy, two of the Matildas. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
suppose that maybe played into the thinking a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're huge in Australia, and what the Matildas did in the World Cup is, was really special. So yeah, like we're really excited to go. We're going to try and wring every last bit out of the tour, and take every opportunity we can while we're there. And it'll be great preparation for us. There's some really good teams out there. We're going to play. It's not going to be an easy tournament to play in. But obviously, we're going there to win, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, first bit of silverware under your tenure.
Yeah, I need it.
And like I said, we'll move right back again. So we've just gone all the way to 2024, come back again.
Yeah.
Moving to City, you moved into the academy role in 2015, is that right? What made you sort of feel like that was the right decision to move from, as you've said, sort of working in events that are coming every 2-4 years into a sort of almost a more structured thing that's it's like a constant plan?
It was me like kind of getting a real job, moving into professional football, which seems a bit ironic.
Yeah.
So what happened, I was working on the Rugby World Cup, which was in England in 2015. And so I started that straight after London 2012, after the Paralympics. I moved there. I did the Rugby World Cup, which was an incredible experience. Again, like testing myself in a different sport, seeing if I could do it. And I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. Got to work really closely with teams. And I think that probably, because there's only 20 teams in a Rugby World Cup, and I was running team services, dealing with the head coaches, team managers of the 20 competing teams, everyone from Georgia and Romania to the All Blacks, England, the Wallabies, etc. I think that for me piqued an interest in actually being on the team side, because I'd always been organising committee side, so 2 games and then a World Cup. So I just saw the job advertised, and you see a job and then you think, oh, that looks good, and I think I could do that. And you look at the things, and I just, applied, and the headhunter actually lived like 5 minutes away, because they said, oh, we want to interview you, and I was like, I can't. I'm in the middle of a World Cup. I'm in the middle of a tournament. And he said, well, where do you live? And then we managed to meet, and the rest is history. So yeah, the reason I took the job, I suppose, was I wanted to work somewhere where I could build and lead a team that then kept going. Because when you work on a games, a major event, like you go in, you're one of the first, you build your team, you get them running beautifully, they're working together, you hire top talent, you develop top talent, they execute the plan, we all have an amazing time, you have this amazing celebration, you've delivered something special, and then everyone goes off and you lose it, and that's really sad. And then you start again. I think when you've done that a few times, I had that desire to go, do you know what, like it would have been amazing to see what that team could have achieved if we'd have stayed together. So that was like one of the things that drew me to the role, Director of Operations at the Academy, because I thought we can do something special and then keep it going, and then almost be like relentless and see where it takes us.
How different was the job itself to how you perceived it would be before you started? Say the sort of day-to-day nature of it, because having been involved in it myself and everyone here, like football is a wild place at times, to say the very least. Yeah. Like, how different would you say it was from your perspective?
Yeah, I would say wild is a good word to describe it. I would say actually the pace is slower in the major events, because you've got one season rolls after another, so I had to readjust myself in terms of my expectation on others. I would be saying, right, let's do this. And then in a week's time, I'd be saying, have we done it? Oh, no, we haven't. We're just thinking about planning it or whatever. And I had to readjust. I was very much, my pace was high. But you can't sustain that long term. You can't sustain that season after season. It's fine if you're on a, like a 2, 3, 4 year contract. But ultimately, you just exhaust yourself. So I think I had to adjust the pace. I would say I brought a lot of structure to our academy. I think we were not loose, but we were evolving, right? The club has changed in the last 15 years or so. New investment, new facility, not been in the facility for long. I think they've been here maybe a year when I joined. So it was, I think as well there is that outside perception of football, and it's all glamour and money and really demanding parents and entitled people and people who have given too much. And actually what I saw is they're just, especially in our academy, they're just normal families with kids that happen to be talented at a sport. It happens to be football, and they just want the best for their kids, and no one probably sees the commitment is, you know, is how many nights a week, bringing your kids to training, trying to juggle. You've got other siblings doing other sports. And so, yeah, it probably was, you know, professionally, I think, wasn't too far away from what I expected. But on a personal level, I definitely learnt a lot. People ask me, what's it like working in an academy? It's like, well, you are working with a load of children who just want to achieve their dreams, and like that is a pretty special place to be. And then now the evolution of our academy and what, you know, the talent that we're now able to produce and facilitate means that, like, I watch a lot of championship football because my brother-in-law until very recently was playing the championship, and like seeing our graduates, like, you know, almost every game I was like watching him play, and there'd be like a graduate on the opposition or on his team, or, you know, League One. We got loads of boys on loan in League One, and seeing the obvious, you know, Phil, Oscar, Rico in our men's first team is like amazing. But also seeing all those other boys that are out there having a career, you know, I think is testament to all the hard work from everybody in the academy, like working every day, whether that's junior academy, getting out there and finding the talent and working with families and supporting them, whether that's performance lifestyle, you know, educating the kids off pitch, all of those things. Like, it's all coming together, and now we're producing top players, world-class players, but also really good people, and I'm really proud of that.
So your role specifically was with the boys' academy, wasn't it? But,
yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of work gone in recently with Jane, and then also now with Karen as well into the girls' academy, and it seems like it's a really exciting time, the way that that's moving as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, our aspiration is to have a girls' academy that matches the boys, and who knows, maybe they'll join together in the future and we just have the Man City Academy and it has boys and girls. It's a co-educational piece. I think that's potentially where the future is. But yeah, like, Jane did a great job and Karen's taken it on. Like, I love the fact that we've got Karen Bardsley, you know, one of our, you know, legends of Man City women, is now leading, you know, developing our future talent. So I've said to her, like, I'm expecting a few goalkeepers out of this programme.
They've got a good
at the
leader,
very
haven't
least.
they?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh, amazing. And then someone else that obviously did work in the academy at the time as well is a certain Gareth Taylor, who obviously worked his way through. So you've had a very close working relationship with him for a very long time now.
Yeah, so I think he was under 16s when I first joined, and then went to under 18s, and then obviously joined the women. So yeah, so that's obviously was really nice for me, stepping across to the women's team, having him there, knowing that we have a great relationship anyway, like knowing how each other works, I think allowed me to hit the ground running, you know, a bit more easily.
It's quite a close relationship as well, isn't it, generally between the women's team and the academy, because at the moment there'll be obviously a purpose-built facility coming soon, which is very exciting, but being in the same building means you've got that relationship off the pitch as well as on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the boys it's great because they've got, you know, first team professionals training in their building or seeing them around, seeing the behaviours. So I think, like, that's been a win-win really. We've got great facilities. There are always challenges if you're sharing space, and we do need our own space. The girls can have, you know, a really elite environment where it's just them. But at the same time, I definitely think it's been great for both parties. For the boys to see, you know, real role models around the building. I think especially, like, I remember, like, the mood really changing when the Lionesses won the Euros, like, and them coming back into the building, all the boys were like, oh my God. Yeah. So that was really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, it's a lovely feeling, that. And then we'll finally get onto your actual role now, shall we?
Might as well.
Got a bit of time, yeah.
Bored you about netball.
Let's go for it. Yeah. You obviously joined at the turn of the year. So how did you find joining mid-season? Because I can't imagine it was that easy to kind of almost jump on a treadmill that's running at full pelt already.
Yeah, I was thinking, reflecting back on my last 12 months, I was on maternity leave and got a call saying, will you come back and be academy director for a bit? And then obviously then the opportunity in the women came up. So it's been a mad 12 months. But yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. It was one that, you know, when it was suggested as an opportunity for me, I was like, absolutely going to take it. So good. And I've loved it. Like, the last 6-7 months have been a whirlwind. It feels like I've been in it longer. I feel like I've learnt so much when I came in. Like, there are obviously bits that are unique to women's football in terms of the league setup, rules and regs. I've had to get my head round, but ultimately, like, we've got a lot of really good people. We've got a great team, and we came so close to winning this year.
Yeah. In regards to, say, the role that you're in now, I'm going
Yeah.
to link some of the verbiage from Olympics times. But legacy.
Yeah.
You in this role, maybe you'll stay in it for the rest of your life. Maybe you won't. But from when you step away from it at some point in the future,
Yeah.
what do you want your legacy to be? Given the fact that you've taken this role up at this particular time in history where women's football almost feels as if it's drifting towards finally getting the right amount of attention,
Yeah.
the right amount of input, the right amount of sort of like help to make it what it needs to be as opposed to what it has been in the past.
Yeah.
What would you say, what would you want to, as I say, think about what you've done when you eventually step away? What do you want to change?
Yeah, I suppose they're twofold. There's like the professional me of like what I want to have achieved in the role for the club, and then there's like the personal me. So I'd say the professional bit, the academy is definitely one. I feel like we're a sleeping giant. We have, you know, the UK is, if not the world's, one of the best boys' academy in the world, and there's absolutely no reason why a girls' academy shouldn't be the same. We've gone from 3 teams, growing to 5 this season. We're putting in a full-time programme for the first time. So I think building a best-in-class girls' academy is definitely one of them. I think, you know, bringing trophies is absolutely something that's on the list. Like I will feel like I haven't delivered if we haven't won a title. I'm being really honest. You know, I might live to regret that, but we came so close. We've got a great team. We've got the full support of the board, the leadership. Everyone wants us to succeed. We've got great talent. So delivering titles, whether that's league title, Champions League, you know, those ambitions of the men's team, all the same. So I would say like building an amazing academy where the best players, the best girls in Manchester and the Northwest can come and fulfil their dreams, whether that's in the WSL, the Championship or beyond. I want to raise the aspiration for girls in Manchester and the Northwest. Like I've got a stepson, a daughter and a son, and like all of them can aspire to play for Man City, which is like for me incredible. You know, and I want our women's team to be like something where girls are like, obviously I played netball, but I want girls to be thinking I want to play for City. You know, I think that's mega. Then on a personal level, it's, you know, I'm a mum, I'm juggling, and I'm, you know, doing a leadership role, and I want to show that it's absolutely possible to do both in elite sport, especially in football. There aren't loads of women in senior leadership positions in football. There aren't loads that have got, you know, juggling a family as well. And I want to do that in a way that recognises that I do have a family and I'm, you know, a normal person.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there is that kind of, you can easily slip into a place where, as a female in football, where you're almost hiding it and you're having to, you know, be this, you know, not a robot, but like having to be someone who, you know, doesn't worry about family and your career, and that is not me. I want to do both. I don't believe they're mutually exclusive. So I think a legacy for me on a personal level would be to show the women and girls that come behind me that you can do it. You can be a good mum and a good executive in football, and that it's possible to do it being yourself and not feeling like you need to, you know, be a poor imitation of someone else and pretend that you haven't got kids and never, you know, you don't mention the struggles. So if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Do you feel like those, you've talked about obviously being not just a woman in football, but obviously in a leadership role as well. Do you feel like over the last few years there has been that improvement and growth at all, or do you feel like that's still somewhere where generally across the landscape things need to be considered, maybe not sort of improved, but considered in a way that making it more about people's mindsets to consider that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, I think you know, we've talked about like if you can see it, you can be it. Like, so I think you know, of course, there is absolute growth we need in terms of women in leadership positions in football. Like that's obvious, but there have been improvements. And City, you know, when they offered me the job, director of operations of the boys' academy, there wouldn't have been many women doing that role in many other Cat 1 academies, you know. So City we've been pioneering in the first club to, you know, have a fully professional women's first team, but they've been pioneering in other ways. Like I say, I got that opportunity. Would another Cat 1 Premier League club given me the same job? Maybe not. So, and being given this opportunity. So, you know, there is loads to be done. But, you know, I think those of us that are then in those positions, we also have a responsibility to bring others with us and open the door, you know, and be vocal and be, you know, and be pushing.
Absolutely.
We need to.
Yeah, well said. Looking ahead to the new season, it's obviously going to be a very exciting one, hopefully. We're looking at, obviously with a playoff to come, a potential return to Champions League football for the first time in a couple of years. I mean, let's start with that for one. How exciting, and again, I don't want to tempt fate. There is a playoff game to come.
I know.
How exciting would that be to be taking this team and making our mark on a European setting as well?
Yeah, I mean, incredibly exciting. We need to do it. Like, our team is good enough to punch out there in the Champions League. You know, we believe we've got the players to compete at the very highest level. So we have to be in the competition in order to do that. It's obviously frustrating that, you know, you finish level on points at the top of one of the strongest leagues in Europe and you're still not automatically in the group stage. So I'd say there's a frustration, but, you know, that is a result of English teams maybe not performing as well as they could have done in the past, and hopefully that will change. But yeah, we're super ambitious. The girls deserve to be playing, you know, at that level. We believe we can compete, and I'm just so excited to bring Champions League football here to the Joy Stadium as well.
Absolutely. As a former player yourself, Nedham, how much of a change or how much excitement is there as a squad when you're thinking about, yes, I'm looking forward to the new season, challenging at the top of the table and everything, but also I'm going to be playing against a bunch of teams I've never played against before, trying out new things. Does it add a bit more?
Yeah, it definitely does. I was at City when they first qualified for the Champions League, which was an amazing feeling, and being in the squad for that first game against Napoli at the stadium, like, it was just new. Everything was new. Everything was novel. But then previously, I think one of my favourite seasons in my career, and this was 16 years, was the year when us at City, we made it to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Cup.
Yeah. Hamburg, was it?
Hamburg. We lost to Hamburg in the quarterfinal. One of the best experiences. And funnily enough, it started in the middle of July when we travelled to play, I think, a team called EB Stramo in like the Faroe Islands. But just being out there, playing in Europe, going through all those different stages to qualify, playing against teams who you've never played against before, actually getting on a plane to travel out of the country to still play for your team. These were amazing feelings. And obviously for these girls, a lot of them might have played Champions League before and so on. But the more time passes where you haven't done it, the more excitement you have towards doing it.
Yeah.
You know, when for the last few years you've watched the likes of, say, a Lyon, a Paris Saint-Germain, a Barcelona, the all conquering Barcelona.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have a try at that. Can you beat them? You know, do you want to be on that journey? And they absolutely will want to. And as you've mentioned, there is that playoff to be had. But if they do it, it's going to be amazing. And to talk about, say, my side of things as well, and this is how much things have changed, because you say to see it is to believe it.
Yeah.
So being friends with Steph is great for me, because I used to watch her when she was younger, and she used to watch me when I was at Sunderland. You know, I'm a big hero to her, kind of.
She's seen your goal at Stamford.
Yeah, she's seen it, mate. She's seen it. Yeah, but she said, you ask her like who your heroes growing up, and she'd say like Paul Gascoigne.
I thought you were going to say you then.
No. We're too close in age. We're too close in age. But she'd say like Paul Gascoigne. But when you ask some of the girls today, they'll say Steph. They'll say like a Lucy Bronze. They'll say like an Esme Morgan. They talk about people who they see, and they see them because they are more visible, because they get the chance to potentially go and play in that situation. Like of my three kids, my eldest plays netball. The youngest two, like, they love football. That's my son and my daughter. My daughter's like, I want to play for City. And what that means to her is playing for City women. She's got a far bigger interest in City women than she does City men. Doesn't matter that City men are on TV every single week. They're doing what they're doing. She wants to watch all those people that I've named. She wants to watch them at the Joy Stadium next season. Like, I'd love to take them to watch the Champions League at the Joy Stadium. My daughter and my son as well, they play on the Nintendo, EA FC, and like, they're playing as City women versus like Lyon women. I'm living in heaven here, because they realise it's more than just what the likes of Steph, for example, was seeing when she was younger. So yeah, to go back to the original question, like, the excitement about playing in the Champions League and the effect that it can have on all those people who take an interest in you is enormous. And it's a real privilege to get a chance to be there. But as Charlotte said, they deserve to be there, because they have, you know, missed out on the league by goal difference in one of the hardest leagues in world football. Yeah.
Have you noticed a difference around the building and stuff as well, leading into the new season? I know it's still quite early, but just sort of the prospect of it as well.
I think from the staff, obviously the players are still like away and international, most of them. So I think like getting so close to the title but not quite getting it has actually done us. There's obviously, it would have been lovely to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's given us the drive and hunger, like even more, to know that we have the quality to do it, but that we like I say, we got so close. But it also gives you the confidence. We're going toe to toe with our competitors. We know we can do it. We had the Football Writers Player of the Year, WSL Player of the Year. We've got players at the top of the list of goals, assists, etc. One of the best defences in the league. It's given us confidence, and I think we were adding a few more players this summer. We've obviously added Viv. World class, proven talent, someone who has been there, someone who has done it, who is so hungry to show everybody what she can do. For City, super excited to be joining us. So, and we're adding more this summer. So I think there's a confidence there. We are not the underdogs anymore. We are genuine contenders. And then the chance to go to Australia, all these opportunities that come up. We say Champions League. It looks like a different season, And we did so well in the cups as well. A few unlucky results, I would say, in terms of our cup runs last year. There's also the cups to go for as well.
Yeah. Just speaking about Viv, you've mentioned there.
Yeah.
As you've said, the definition of been there and done it. We're talking about the league's top goal scorer, the Netherlands' top goal scorer for men and women, everything like that. But it's not been that easy for her last couple of years. She's had a couple of injuries and so on. So I think what really excited me then, we were saying, is that hunger that she's got to kind of really make her mark at City and do just what she's done at Arsenal and even more over here now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's unbelievable to think that her age, given what she's achieved, and she can do so much, she can achieve so much more. So the chance for us to sign Viv was just we have to take it. She's gonna add that experience, quality, but like I said, she's driven. She's not come here to make up the numbers. No. And I think that's great. And I think that I actually said to the staff, we have a really good team. We're adding more quality, but what comes with that is it is going to be tough. There are going to be disappointed people on the bench, as you know, Nadem, in teams you've played in. The stronger that team gets, the more good quality you add, the trickier it can be. So it's not easy to manage all of those super competitive people who all want to play and all want to win. But they're the challenges we have to learn to deal with and live with if we want to achieve what we want to what we want to in terms of titles.
Absolutely. With Viv, just very quickly, one more on her. That she obviously announced that she was going to be leaving Arsenal a few weeks before. Obviously, she signed for us. Without giving as much detail as you can, you just talk to us about the process of sort of convincing her to come to City. Was it an easy way to convince her, or how did that kind of go?
No, I think she said it when she in the announcement videos. It was an easy decision. She wants to win. We want to win. We play great football. So I don't think she took too much persuading. I think, but likewise, you get the chance to sign Vivianne Miedema. For me, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. So I think it was, I would say one of the easier negotiations we've had, where you've got two parties who want the same thing, aspirations line up, your ambitions line up, the timing's perfect. So yeah, it was really good.
It's great like that. You know what I mean? Someone thinks, do I want to go to City? Do I want to win? Yes. Do they want to win? Yes. Do they play great football? Yes. Okay,
exactly.
That's fair. It's perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah, put this room for an hour, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's true. And when I came into the role, one of the things I wanted to do was have really open, transparent communication with the players. So I meet with them every quarter, talk to them about what's going on the business side, how that links with them. Likewise, they can share with me any issues they have or how we can improve, how we can get closer to our goals. And I usually ask them a few questions. I give them all have paper and pens, and it's completely anonymous. And I gather the results afterwards. And when I first came in, I asked them questions what could I change really quickly, or if you were me, what would you do in the role? And one of the questions I asked was, what do you love most about playing for Man City? And nearly all of them said my teammates. which is a really special thing, which told me we were in, like, that was December, so it told me we were in great shape for the rest of the season when you've got a team of really talented individuals who all really like each other, who all want the same thing. Like, that's top. And then later on, I think it was just before the end of the season, I met with them again and asked them things about, like, if they had to describe what Man City was like to other people, what would they say? And, like, you know, one word to describe Man City, or just, you know, certain things, because we want the players to be at the heart of our brand. We're trying to create, you know, a brand, and we want to engage in our fans and bring them on the journey with us. So it's important for us to know what the players feel about being here. And the things that came through and the answers was all about winning and the way we play. Like, a lot of them are here because we play great football and they want to win. And like you said, winning, playing great, beautiful football is kind of like the utopia, right? You know, and I think then when we add in like a £10 million investment in a state-of-the-art women's first team training centre, you know, strengthening it from a coaching point of view, renewal of our managers' contracts, who've got stability there, of a manager who knows the way we play, knows women's football now after 4 seasons, and has played for our club. Like, I think we're a really compelling offer for the world's best players. So hopefully it will make my job easier when we're trying to recruit.
Yeah, it's being at the top on the pitch and off the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
The telling thing there.
Exactly. And then even off the pitch, like, we've got Karen Bardsley, who went on a development programme after she retired and is now running our academy. Steph will hopefully do a really similar thing. So there's also an opportunity post-career here at City to, you know, we're trying to support our, you know, top female athletes to transition off the pitch into opportunities that help them, but also means we get to keep that great talent in our club.
Absolutely. The other signing at time of recording last week, Risa Shimizu, was also confirmed as the second summer signing, and again, a really exciting player, a positive fullback who has a lot of experience in the WSL. I suppose I was going to ask about what the reasoning was behind signing her, but it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I think she's coming here to compete. She's an established WSL player. We really like what we saw last season, and so we're growing the Japanese contingent, which is great. But yeah, no, we're really excited, really glad that she signed. And again, I think, like, she's super ambitious, and she wanted to come to a club where she's going to challenge for titles. So I think it's going to be, like, as I said, the team, like, the starting 11 it's going to be a tough one to call this year. It's
frightening, isn't it? You look at those players, and with injured players coming back as well later on, even more. I did hear you a couple of minutes ago say potential for new recruits. Don't know if you meant Viv and Risa. Is there any more potential players coming in the offing over this window?
Yeah, we've got a few more. So can't say who they are yet, but, you know, some top international talent, I would say, plus some really high potential domestic talent who could be the future of City women.
I mean,
so
that's
a teaser.
I was thinking that.
So yeah, I hope I've not overcooked it, but yeah, like, you know, for us it's about building a team that can win now and in the future. So we are, you know, the recruitment that we're doing is about adding to our first team for this coming season in terms of improving our ability to win titles, but we also need to make sure that we can sustain that over repeated seasons and that we've got depth in that squad. So if you think about, like, the emergence of Kiara and Jess Park in particular, you know, we need to make sure that those players are already in our squad, learning the way we play as well.
And I suppose the other side of it as well is that, I mean, right at the end of the season, securing Lauren Hemp for another 3 years felt like one of the biggest signings of the summer for us anyway. So I suppose that there's going to be a similar ambition, making sure that, as you've said, the players that are already here know the system are nailed down for longer.
So renewals is obviously renewals are a really important part of recruitment, and I think, like, Lauren's extension hopefully is a big validation of our programme, what we're trying to do and our aspirations. You know, she wants to win titles now. She wants to be the best player in the world, and we want to support her ambitions to do that. So like, when she decided to stay, which we're really glad she did, you know, I think it gave everyone a boost, and like I said, we're still at the table. We will always be at the table for the best players internationally too. So we want that mix. We want that depth, and like I said, we need to build a winning machine that year after year that we are relentless. I think anyone can win a title once, but as you can see with our men's team, it's building a squad that can win back to back is obviously the ambition.
Yeah, that's the real measure, isn't it, of a top team.
Yeah.
But then also there have been some key departures this summer on a playing perspective. I mean, for one, we've talked about Steph a few times and her decision to retire. I mean, the word legend is bandied around a lot, and a lot sometimes not in the right way, but she is the prime example of somebody who is that. And as you've mentioned as well, hopefully we're going to be seeing a bit more of her around in the future.
Yeah, I mean, she's just an incredible person. I've got to know her more obviously in the last 6-7 months than I did before, but she's just like, she's everything you want in a captain. She's leads by example. She's obviously a top player. And she's just a really good person to be around. I was really fortunate we did a warm weather trip. George, you were there to Abu Dhabi early this year, and she's a really special person. To know that she's going to be someone that I can lean on for advice, guidance. She knows obviously the women's game inside out, but she's an absolute pleasure, a pleasure to be around, and she brings energy. And I think in particular last season, if you think that she wasn't playing as much as she would have liked, like if you watched her, like if we had a camera on her on the bench, like she is driving the team on. She was driving them on from like kick-off until the dying minutes. This is a person who has her own aspirations, to play. She's a competitive person. I think to be able to be that selfless for the team, like she gave the team what they needed at that time, above her own, disappointment, frustrations. Like I always found it really difficult as a substitute, like being on the bench. Like netball is a bit easier because you can come in and out, but like it's really tough to be in that moment and manage your own emotions when you're an athlete, you're competitive.
I'm trying to get her to play in a game that I play on Monday nights, but she said she spent the last 15-20 years playing. She's gonna have a little break for now. But
I've heard she's been training every day though.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's definitely keeping fit.
I was going to say me and you at centre half, then I remembered Steph.
Yeah,
probably gets it ahead of
you could say that, yeah. You could say that with all due respect, yeah.
Last 5
definitely
minutes.
fair, yeah. Definitely fair.
Just going back to Steph and her influence, I remember speaking to Gareth after the Bristol City game at the end of the season, and from obviously we were looking at trying to get the goals, get the wins at the time, and I think it ended 0-0 at the end of the first half. Came out like a house on fire, ended up winning 4-5-0. And spoke to Gareth after, and he basically said, Steph, her team talk at half-time, she basically got the players in, had a few choice words, but also a lot of motivation, and Gareth almost said that I just let her do it. And that, again, sort of reinforces that point you've made about it's not just about making an impact when you get the chance on the pitch. There's so much more you can do off it, and we've seen that with Alex Greenwood, Lyra Alexandri, other players in this leadership group have spoken and been influenced by her in that front as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about like future captaincy, it's almost like we need to get Steph to write a job description. She's been our captain for 10 seasons. Like she did it effortlessly. Like it just comes natural to her. Whereas, that's not the same for everyone. So I think like that is a challenge for us this year, for the group to step up, because I think it's gonna be really difficult for one individual to like fill her boots in season 1, because everybody like grows. I'm sure Steph the captain in season 10 was different to Steph the captain in season 1. So I think the whole group's going to have to step up, and obviously people lead in different ways, but they've had a great role model in terms of like what a captain should be.
There's other key players as well that from the squad that have moved on to pastures new. I mean, the ones that you can think of straight away, Demi, who was one of our double centurions, been to Newcastle now. Ellie Roebuck, Esme Morgan, one of our own. These are key players that have moved on, but I suppose it's the unfortunate part of football is that it's a constantly moving cycle.
It is, and I think all of those are really they're positive moves for those individuals. Like, Demi going to Newcastle is like, I think it will be an amazing experience for her. She's been an unbelievable servant, top player, England international, and a great person. Like, I really enjoyed my time with Demi. And Ellie, after the challenges that she's been through this season, like the resilience she's shown to deal with the injuries, the setbacks, you know, again, still be a great influence within the group. Like, we wish her all the best. We really do. And she, you know, we've worked really closely with her to get her to a place where she can go out and play the football that she knows she can. Like Esme, a product of our academy, an example of we want 10 Esmes a year. And, you know, I've said to her and her parents that, you know, I see Esme Morgan coming back. Like, she's going off into the NWSL and she's going to get a great experience out there. But, like, you know, she's a great character, a shining example of what you can achieve if you put your mind to it. She's like, when she was in the girls' academy, we used to use her as an example to the boys of, like, her GCSE and A-level results were just off the charts. And, like, there is no excuse. You can be a top footballer and achieve academically. There is no barrier to that when you've got the support that City gives you. So, yeah, she's a top person, and yeah, I think she's going to be amazing out in Washington. So
yeah, there's obviously, I didn't want to be disrespectful as well, as obviously Philippa and Ruby have left this summer as well, and again made an important impact when they were here. Yeah,
absolutely, and like, it's a natural evolution of the squad, right, and of the team. And I think with Ruby, like, she, you know, she wants to play, she needs to play, and, you know, last year is so difficult when you've got Yui having the season that she did. Like, you know, she'd be one of the best sixes in the world right now. So it is, you know, Ruby's at that point in her career where she wants minutes and she needs minutes, and we couldn't offer her that. But again, she's a top talent. She'll be playing in the WSL this year, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of her, which will be great. And, like, Philippa's given us, you know, years of loyal service, and again, you know, it's we wanted her to stay, but, you know, she also wants to play, and we couldn't guarantee her that time. So, you know, it's like, we'll never begrudge anybody going to better themselves and further their career, for sure.
Yeah, but I suppose on the other side of things, there's obviously a sizable gap left by these players, but this is a young squad, it's an ambitious squad, and it's an opportunity for those players to step into those roles and improve even more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, our consistent starting team are all still here. We're adding quality, but like I said, we're also adding that depth, and we're recruiting young talent as well that we hope will be the future, because I think it's important for the way we play that actually people have a chance to, like, learn it, develop it, you know, in training without the extreme pressure of being thrown into the game. If you're a young player and you've only played a certain way, I think coming into our environment early, even if you then go out on loan, I think is important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a weirdo. I'm obsessed with football and just
you
consume.
just
just cut out that I'm obsessed with football. Yeah, getting pincer moved here. But I can't wait for the new season. Like, literally, it's almost like you wake up, you look at your calendar, and you go, right, one more day, and so on. Yeah. But for the other City fans on the terraces, like, what would you say to them about this new season? How exciting it's going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. Like, no one's got a crystal ball. We don't know how things are going to roll. But, like, I think if we get a good start, like, we will be there. I really do. You know, Champions League qualification is obviously huge. You know, this is the bit that's so tough about this job. It's like, when I worked in the academy, it's all about, like, long term. You're sowing seeds. You're, like, putting in the work now to then see it, like, bloom and blossom later. And it's not about results. Like, when the academy teams are playing, it's about individual performances and improvement. And, like, with the women's first team, it is results. You know, like, watching is uncomfortable at times. You know, some of the best wins we had were, like, you know, away at Chelsea, away at Arsenal, like, scoring early, and then, like, the resilience to not just hang on, but, like, stay in the game. So, like, some of it's not so pleasant to endure, but also some, like, amazing occasions, amazing goals. And, like, I just, you know, I hope for the team that they get a platform to show just how good they are. Same for Gareth as a manager. Like, he's a manager that goes under the radar.
Yeah, agreed.
And you know, and I don't dislike that. I think, like, his actions, the way the team plays, is his expression. So I think, the fans at the Joy, I hope we can bring them Champions League football. I hope we can bring them plenty of goals. I think with our attacking players, I think, like, we've got a real good chance of scoring a lot. And I hope that we're there to the very end, fighting for the title.
Fingers crossed. Be here in May doing a season review, and we've got 4 trophies. Who knows? Never know.
Yeah, you never know,
Fingers
George.
crossed, Fingers crossed. Well, I mean, Charlotte, I could talk to you all day, and I'm sure you're very pleased to hear, though, that we have now come to the end of our time. Just wanted to thank you again so much for your time. Really exciting again for the new season, and but before then for Australia as well. So
thank you.
Hope
Thank
all
you
goes well
both for your
before then.
time.
Thank you.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.